Hey guys, the Common Man here. So, probably as you all know or have noticed if you follow the channel, my knife collection changes all the time. I'm always getting new knives, getting rid of knives, trading, selling, buying, I've I do it partially to get different stuff on the channel, but to be honest with you, the main reason I do it is cuz I love knives. I just love checking out new stuff. I love seeing what's out there, what have I not seen before, especially things that are kind of new, innovative. I do it in a couple of different ways. I look at YouTube videos, I watch videos, I figure out what I like based on those, or I actually go to my local knife shop and ask any of the salesmen or the owner, hey, what do you guys got that's new that might be kind of interesting? So, that's generally how I find different knives, and I do like to jump on what's hot too. If I see something that's new and really taking the knife market by storm. But anyway, so this is just a little bit of stuff that I've got right out in front of me. I've got some of my more budget stuff laid out here, and then further in the video, we'll start working on some of my more premium stuff. Today, I'm going to keep it pretty much strictly to pocket knives. Of course, these are kind of multi-tools, but I'm not really going to touch on my multi-tools because that's sort of a whole different category. And I've just got a bunch, and yeah, we're just going to keep it to knives. So let's go ahead and start with, I guess we'll start right here. This is the SRM Cub. Very cool knife. Originally it was Sanren Mu was the brand or the company, but they changed their name to SRM. This is one of the most recent knives I've picked up, and I absolutely love it, right around that $65 price range. Very cool Sanmai steel, excellent ergonomics, and really nice action on washers. So very cool, budget end folder. I really enjoy it. CJRB Pyrite, still in my opinion one of the best budget knives you can get, with a ARRPM 9 steel, which performs very well. Nice G10 button lock, one of the best tuned button locks I've ever used, and one of the best thumb stud knives I own. I mean, this thing is just absolutely incredible. Ergonomics, the value, $45 or whatever you can get it for, $50 maybe. They really knocked it out of the park. This is still, I think, one of the kings, if not the king of budget knives. It's so good. This is the original Civivi Elementum. This is their Choberta. I don't even know how you say that. The wood. It's the wood scales. This is the original liner lock. Pretty simple knife. This is in D2, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, pretty sure it's D2 with this really sweet black finish. It's kind of like a tumbled finish. Totally love the look of this blade. Overall, it's not like my favorite knife, but this one is kind of sentimental to me because, I bought all of the groomsmen in my wedding party at my wedding. I bought them all one of these, and I decided I'd buy myself one as well. So we all had matching knives, and yeah, so this is very special to me because this is a knife from my wedding. Yeah, I bought it for myself, but it still is, to me, it's a part of my wedding day, and that was a very, very special day to me. So kind of cool. A lot of sentimental value in that knife. This is also a Civivi Elementum, but this is the button lock version. A very nice button lock. Not quite as refined, in my opinion, as new button locks. There's a little bit of stick if you push that button in too far. It's a pretty long button press. And it's kind of a thicker knife. It's a little thicker than the original Elementum, but I still really like it. I keep this as kind of like a backup knife. I take this on vacations with me sometimes so that I have a knife, and it's not a knife that I'm, terrified of losing. So just another cool knife that I like to keep around, and it was also a gift from my wife. This here is the Kershaw Iridium in there. I think it's the sheep's foot blade or reverse tanto, whatever you want to call it. Really great knife. It's not necessarily my style. I'm not a huge Kershaw fan. Their kind of design language doesn't really speak to me generally, and this is sort of one of those cases. But overall, the value is certainly there. I paid like $50 for it. It's a great crossbar lock. Really, really great action. Incredibly smooth, very flicky, pretty fidgety, and it's a nice size knife as well. The blade steel is, oh boy, if I can see, yeah, D2, so that's also D2, so nice knife. And this Elementum button lock is actually Nitro V, I think. Let me see. Yeah, Nitro V, which is an incredible blade steel for a budget knife. Next up, we're going to have actually a very new acquisition. I bought this just before I bought this guy. This is the Best Techman Dundee, and of course I had to buy the Dundee because I am a huge fan of The Office. I don't think there's any relation there, but I chuckled when I saw the name of it because I thought, the Dundees. But this really is an incredible knife. The original Dundee had like like a drop point blade, I think, a much more of a very, very narrow blade, long, narrow blade. This has a nice kind of Wharncliffe style blade, very functional EDC blade, and it's actually a nice size knife. It's a good, I'd say, full size knife. It's just very slender, very slim, low profile. And I absolutely love it. And this thing, oh, this one is also in Magna Cut. So this is not their budget version. This is actually kind of the more premium version of that knife in the Magna Cut steel. The original, I think, was D2. But awesome, awesome knife. This has actually got a ton of pocket time. I really, really love it. And great deep carry pocket clip. And then, of course, I've got my Victorinox knives, which I've been carrying quite a bit. This one I just picked up. I think it's the Compact, the SD Compact or something like that. It's just goofy. I got it because it was, I don't know, it's kind of a novelty. I don't think it's super functional, but it does have a very, well, I made it extremely sharp. But it was a good functional blade, plenty sharp, but I went ahead and stropped it up to just a razor edge. Very nice little blade there. It's got, it's got the file there for your fingers. You could also double as a flathead screwdriver. And then it has these little scissors, which actually are quite functional, believe it or not. And yeah, they will trim fingernails, impressively so. And then, of course, a toothpick and tweezers. So pretty cool, great little knife. And then we have my Swiss Army knife climber with my RGT micarta scales. This is my most carried Swiss Army knife. This goes with me to work in my pocket, and then gym shorts, whatever. Wherever I don't want to carry a clipped knife or where I need a little bit more utility than just a regular pocket knife. And then this is the, oh boy, I forget what model this is. Fieldmaster, I think. I think it's the Fieldmaster. It's basically the climber, but it's got the saw blade. But anyway, those are some of my budget blades. Let's go ahead and get these out of the way and make room for some more. I think we're going to get into some of my more kind of user, more robust knives. All right, so first up, let's talk about my my absolute beater. It's just tuned poorly. This thing is one of my first high-end knives, or higher end, really. It's kind of a medium range knife, but it's a Benchmade Griptilian. It is with the Spidey hole, a sheep's foot blade. Absolutely love this knife. It's an S30V. I have beat the living daylights out of it, as you can see. I carried it with me painting, doing lots of different projects in the woods. I keep a nice razor sharp edge on it. It looks horrific because it was before I really got into sharpening, nicer knives. Just got that cheap plastic grip, axis lock, obviously. And again, the action is kind of whatever because I just don't really take care of this knife. It is just an absolute beater. This is by far my most abused knife, and to be honest with you, I haven't carried it in quite a while. But yeah, if I have to grab a knife that I know I'm just gonna totally trash, that's probably gonna be it. And it really holds up to the abuse. Next, I have a Spyderco Shaman. Oops, this thing is stiff. This is a just an absolute beast, bruiser of a knife. I carried it at work for the longest time, for several years. I don't really use it that often. It just kind of sits in my pocket at work, and it's sort of believe it or not, this is kind of my backup knife at work. I don't use it nearly as much as the next knife I'm going to show you, which I use much more often, that I also carry with me at work. This is sort of like, it's a knife that I know is always going to be sharp, and it's also a knife that I know is going to take abuse if I need it to. And yeah, it's just a great knife, crazy ergonomic. It's just a little big for me in the blade. I think that it's just a little bulky, a little tall profile, a little bit awkward in my opinion for most cases, but I like having a good, very, very durable knife with me that I know I can count on. So Spyderco Shaman and S30V. Next up is one of my more used knives. This is a knife that probably gets one of the knives that gets the most use out of my collection, and this is in my pocket at work as well. And this is obviously the Spyderco Manix 2 Lightweight in the CTS BD1N. This steel has actually impressed me. I had it in the Para 3 Lightweight, and it performed very well. It holds a nice edge. Not as good as some other steels, but honestly, it strops up so nice. It sharpens up easily. I really like it. And actually, I don't think I've ever actually had to sharpen this knife. I think I've only ever had to strop it, which is incredible because I use it all the time. This is one of the most impressive knives in my collection, just in the fact that it is a full-size knife, 100%, and it is super lightweight. it's just such an impressive knife. I do have another Manix 2, the G10 version. Unfortunately, I don't have it with me right now. It's outside in my car, and I'm too lazy to go get it. But it's the same thing, just in G10. Yeah, and that one is in S30V with the black blade. It's a very good knife. I use that one a fair amount as well. Next up, let's talk about a knife that I just got a little bit ago, very recently. This is the Demko Shark Cub. Unfortunately, I bought this used. It's got a pretty poor edge on it. The previous owner, clearly sharpened it up and just didn't do it all that well. And then also this knife, I'm really bummed out about it, but it's got a tiny bit of up and down blade play. I've already disassembled it. I've tried to take that play out of it, tweaking a couple of things, and yeah, I don't know. I just can't get it fixed, and I'm not sure if it's going to get fixed. I may hit up Demko, see if there's anything they can do for me to try to maybe send a new part, or if they'll take it and try to fix it up for me. But as of right now, that's just the way it is. It's kind of a bummer. Very nice, very ergonomic. I love the Demko Shark lock. It's not my favorite lock, but I do like it. And this knife is not very flickable. It's reverse flick as I fail it. I like the Shark lock. It's fidgety. It's fun. And this knife, like I said, it's just that lockup really kind of bummed me out. I think this knife would have been a lot more. I think I would have liked it a lot more if it was in a little bit better shape. So I don't know. I may buy a new one at some point just to compare it and see how it does. But yeah, anyway, that's the Shark Cub. Overall, a sweet knife. Just that locking mechanism it's a bummer. Must not have been treated well in its previous life. That's my guess. Next up, Tactile Rockwall. This is a very cool knife. This is a safety first edition with the orange Cerakoted aluminum MagnaCut blade, black coating. Yeah, very nice knife. This one I think I'm going to be letting go pretty soon, though. It has been replaced by a different Tactile knife, which we'll get to in a little bit. But overall, very cool, very slender, somewhat of a smaller knife, nice and thin behind the edge, and that MagnaCut steel is very nice. Super fidgety as well. This is one of the best thumb stud deployment knives I own, and yeah, I've gotten a lot of pocket time with this. I really enjoy it. Next up is my WE Navo. This is another gift from my wife, and I absolutely love this knife. I had no interest when I saw pictures of it online, no interest whatsoever, but honestly, when I got it in my hand, it really spoke to me. And I think this knife actually is one of the ones that kind of got me into this more slim, low profile kind of design aesthetic. I really am kind of going after this style now, and I think it's because of this knife here. It feels so nice, this particular knife, and it's tuned just like perfectly. They impress me every single time I pick up a WE knife. It is so impressive, their quality of machining, just their quality control. It's so nice. This is 20 CV, I think, on the blade steel. Yeah, I'm pretty positive it's 20 CV, which is excellent. Nice micarta, these little cutouts, which, I could take them or leave them. I think on this it looks pretty nice, though. And then, the flipper deployment, which isn't my favorite, but this one is tuned so perfectly that, yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, the WE Navo. This knife is one of the most impressive knives I've ever purchased, and the Microtech MSI, which I actually just got rid of, that thing was unbelievable as well. I just liked this design a little bit better than the MSI, ironically, because I hated it when I first saw it. It is so ergonomic, and this lock, I cannot say enough good things about the RAM lock. It is a beast. There is you feel like if you put this across two 2x4s and you stood on it, I guarantee you wouldn't break it. It is that tough and that solid. It's a beast. I absolutely love it. I love the mechanism. I love the way that it disengages and engages. The way it's like a guillotine. It just drops so hard. It's the weight of the blade, but it's also just the smoothness of the pivot, the way that the lock completely disengages from that blade when you disengage it, much like an Axis lock. It is just a beast. I love this knife. I love the way it functions, and the fact that it's got such a low blade edge compared to where your hand is. And then that tip, they've still managed to keep such a fine tip. This thing is it's a slicing monster, and it's just perfect for EDC tasks despite its pretty monstrous size. It really is an incredible EDC and hard use knife. I love it. totally sold on the Microtech Ramlock design. I really wish they put more Ramlock knives out that interested me, but the only other one I can think of is like the Amphibian, which I think is hideous. I'm not interested. So yeah, I would love to pick up another Ramlock in the future. All right, let's go ahead into my little bit nicer stuff. We'll start with the least nice of the nice stuff, and that is a case. And the reason I call this nice is it's kind of a gentleman's folder. This is just a case mini trapper, nothing too special. I did a video on it before. It came not in great shape, and I ended up kind of hammering this bolster together a little bit to get rid of some of that hideous amount of blade play. It is better now, and I've completely resharpened it. I've put a better tip on it. I say resharpened it. And you can see both knives I resharpened. I just kind of did it quickly. I didn't do the best job in the world, but I was also fixing two incredibly different blade or edge angles, so it was only going to turn out so good without taking off a lot of material. So I just said it was good enough once it was, shaving sharp, and that's where I left it. So not really a knife that I carry. It's one that I just kind of keep because I think it's a good looking knife. I think it's very attractive, so I keep it in my collection. Next up is going to be one of my Great Eastern Cutlery knives. I'll actually pull them both out. We need to speed things up just a little bit. And hopefully you guys are sipping on a coffee or some other beverage and enjoying. And part of my whole reason for posting these videos is sharing my collection. I enjoy, sharing my collection, not in a braggy way, I promise. More in a, this hobby is better enjoyed as a community than it is alone. So it's kind of fun sharing what I've got and seeing your comments on some of the knives that I have and seeing what you guys have and how you think, how you feel about different knives. But also I enjoy watching these videos because sometimes it exposes you to knives you never considered before until you see it in someone else's collection. So hopefully you guys see something that piques your interest here and gets you interested in picking one up yourself. So anyway, these are the Great Eastern Cutlery knives. These are kind of different than what I normally carry, kind of like that case. Slip joints I was not into for the longest time, and then Great Eastern Cutlery sort of got me interested. These are just carbon steel blades, I think 1095 steel. This one is a steel frame as well with steel bolsters, so you got to keep it oiled or it will rust, as you can see right there. And this is a double blade as well. It's got a nice little pen blade as well as this very cool, I guess, clip point blade. I love this knife. This is my suit and tie knife. That is the one that I carry if I'm wearing a suit to a wedding or something. This is another Great Eastern Cutlery, and this one also that 1095. I think it's 1095 blade steel, high carbon steel, very susceptible to rust and corrosion, so you got to keep up on it. But I just love this design, this kind of bull nose, just kind of user knife. And this one's very cool because it's got, of course, it's called the Sud Buster, as you can see, and the reason it is because of this. It's got a bottle opener built into it, which is so cool. Also functions as a really great pry bar, but I just love it. That micarta, that black micarta, it's got a bit of a gloss on it, and then I put this little lanyard here. Just very cool. All pinned construction, both of these, and they are built to very, very, very high standards. I'm impressed every time I pick them up. Next up we have, I guess before we get into some of my nicer knives, we'll talk about some more users. We've got the Hogue Deca here. Very impressive. This one is in the MagnaCut blade steel, which I really wanted over the 20CV. I'm a big fan of MagnaCut. And then, it's got the black coating, which helps in corrosion. And then I actually switched out it came with that coyote tan polymer handle, like the plastic, and I switched them out for these. What was it? This is the original Goat aluminum, and it's got this beautiful texturing on it. This is the green Cerakote. They're just awesome. Not perfect in the machining, unfortunately. I did end up having to really mess with it a lot to try to get a good solid lockup and a nice free action. It still is not drop sheddy, and you can hear it's actually got some sand in there. I got to take this thing apart and clean it out again, but I really struggled getting a good drop shed action on it, so I had to just kind of settle with a good enough action. It still is plenty flickable. The reverse flick is easy, but yeah, I think what happened was I think these scales are just slightly warped, which gave me a lot of issues up here in the pivot. So overall, the scales look great. They feel great. They're still very lightweight, but I don't know. I was kind of bummed about the the fitment issues. So, but overall, it's a great knife. I really enjoy it, and I wouldn't turn away from Original Goat in the future. I don't know. I think this was just a funky little issue that wasn't such a big deal. I had to return it or something like that. So that's that. Next up, Spyderco Paramilitary 2. One of the most used, if not the most used knife in my collection. This is my go-to if I'm just like, I need to grab a knife real quick, and I'm just going to do whatever for the day. This is probably the one I'm going to grab. You get so much cutting edge there, so much handle to hang on to. It's a hard use knife. It's an incredible everyday carry knife. It'll do fine tasks with that super fine tip. Relatively thin behind the edge, incredible slicer. And this is in the crew wear, which I like. It's a blade steel that's performed very well. I've noticed some corrosion develop here and there, even with that coating. But honestly, I abuse my users. I don't oil them nearly as much as I should, so I'm not terribly surprised by that. But Paramilitary 2, incredible knife, really, really good. And these purple G10 scales, I was gonna switch them out like right away, and I decided not to because I kind of love them. So it's still purple. With I think this is a Lynch deep carry pocket clip. Next up is the Spyderco Paramilitary. I'm sorry, Spyderco Para 3, and I actually have two of them. This is an original S30V version. This is actually one of the first Spydercos I purchased. I love this. I really still think this is possibly the best everyday carry knife you can buy. They're kind of expensive now, probably more expensive than they should be. I think almost definitely more expensive than they should be. But they are coming in S45 VN steel, which is a hair better than S30. And yeah, it's still just incredible. That compression lock, I mean, it's just like the Paramilitary 2 in its function. It's just a little bit smaller, and frankly, in my opinion, I think a little bit more ergonomic. This knife just fits me like a glove. It truly is an extension of your hand. And yeah, I just thought that these RGT micarta scales would look so good with a brown, leather lanyard here, which functionally doesn't do much, but I think it looks pretty sharp. And this is using also, I think it's also a Lynch deep carry pocket clip titanium. Love this knife. Love this knife. It's one of my most carried as well. Not as much anymore, but man, this was my sole go-to carry EDC knife, and I love it. Next up, another Para 3. This is a special one. This was actually a DLT exclusive 20CV with Tan G10, and of course I swapped out the Tan G10 with Metenboss titanium anodized Star Wars scales, which are just amazing. I love these. This is one of my favorite knives. I just love these scales. They are so cool. And then I put an MXG deep carry pocket clip on there. So this one doesn't get as much use, but every once in a while I feel like carrying it. So, it gets carried occasionally, but I really just want to keep these scales nice because that's just too cool. So that's that. We will do another Spyderco. This is the last Spyderco, and this is the Spy Mito. Yeah, Spy Mito. This one I picked up not too long ago. I got it pretty early on in its release, and yeah, it's impressive. It actually has a flipper tab that attaches here. It's kind of big and bulky. It gets in the way of the handle, in my opinion, and it looks funky. So I took it off because you can. It just has a screw. You just remove the screw, and that flipper tab comes right off. It's a great knife. I haven't gone back to addressing the blade centering, but I am having a blade centering issue. I've tried everything I can think of to get that blade centered, and it's just not working. The action is incredible. It's extremely smooth, and it's flickable, both the reverse flick and thumb flick. It's just tuned incredibly well. It's just that stupid blade centering is just really, I'm really struggling with it. So I don't know. It doesn't take away from the knife too bad for me. I still carry it. I still really enjoy it. I think it's a great knife overall. Just a very cool collab with Lion Steel that, I think they really knocked it out of the park there. If you have any suggestions, I think I had a suggestion early on I got to check out. But if you have any suggestions on how to fix that, besides using the metal complex method, which I've tried multiple times, let me know. Let me know if you can think of anything. So that's that. And then here we have another Tactile. This is the Tactile Maverick. Very impressive knife. It's quite a bit bigger than the Tactile Rockwall, and I think I like it just a little bit more, and it's considerably cheaper than what the Rockwall was when it first was released. I think it's now cheaper than it was, but right around 250 bucks for this. I didn't pay that. I got this secondhand, but it's just an awesome knife. And that is, believe it or not, micarta. That's black micarta, and it's got this like milling in it. It's so good. I love this knife. Great crossbar style lock, or the super lock they call it. Nice and flickable, incredible action. Just a very cool kind of steak knife style knife, which I'm really, really growing fond of. So awesome, awesome knife. Next up, I gotta speed it up because my phone is gonna die here. Next up, let's actually get both of these out together. These are both Berg blades, which I really, really wanted to check out. The original, the one that I really wanted to see was the Iron Wolf. I later realized probably a little too big for me, so then I wanted to go a little bit smaller. So I checked out the Iron Pup, which was way smaller than I expected. Originally, if I had done it over, I probably would have gone with this knife first, but I'm glad I didn't, because I bought this knife. It was too small. I went looking for something bigger, and I found this knife. Whereas if I found this knife first, I doubt I would have even looked at this. It's definitely small, probably too small, but I still love it. I really, really love it. There's something about it that's just so fun and nice. It's such a refined knife. It's kind of a nicer occasion carry for me when I want something that's not going to be too flashy. And of course, it's the flipper tab, which is not my style, but you can still kind of pinch it and open it like that, which I really love because it's very smooth. It's just very satisfying. Some knives are just as satisfying to open quickly as they are to just kind of slow roll. And this is one of those ones that's really, really satisfying to just slowly open. And then the ergonomics are just beautiful. I love it. It just feels, I don't know, it feels good. It feels good in my hand. I really enjoy it. So that is the Berg Blades Iron Pup. And then the Berg Blades Tick. So this thing is considerably bigger. It's pretty like tall profile, which I'm not huge about. I do wish it was a little bit lower profile, but it's a very nice ergonomic knife. Forward choil is great. What do you call these? The fullers I really like, and you can actually reverse flick it if you get your finger down low enough on the blade, but it is going to chew up your fingernail. But anyway, it's just a super nice knife. Titanium. I think I stopped telling you guys about blade steels, but I'm pretty sure, sorry guys, I can't remember what the blade steel is. I know it's something premium. It might be like a 20 CV or something like that. I think these are Riot made, but just incredible engineering. Very, very high level of quality here. And yeah, I really enjoy them. The Iron Pup came pretty gritty when I first got it, honestly, but it has smoothed out a ton. I just took it apart, cleaned it up, lubed it up, and it's much smoother now. It's very nice. And then this one came just perfect. So awesome knives, the Berg Blades Tick and the Iron Pup. And I actually did buy both of these secondhand, but very lightly used. So I think they're pretty good representations of their knives. And then, yeah, we're down to the last two guys. This is the Rick Hinderer XM18. Probably all of you know this knife. It's nothing too crazy. It's been out forever, and it is one of my favorite knives. This is the anodized, what is it, the Battle Bronze. I love the Battle Bronze look. I've had a few Hinderers, and this is the one that stuck around. I love that slicer grind. I love this no choil. I originally was into the choil, but I've learned to just love this no choil. The finger guard is awesome. Incredible flipping action. Ridiculous ergonomics. I really, really love this knife, and the color scheme is totally me. I really love it. So Rick Hinderer XM18. I don't think this thing's going anywhere anytime soon. And then the last knife. We've made it to the end, guys. Chris Reeve Umnumzaan, the Tanto version. I'd love to try the drop point version, but I think this Tanto version is just unreal, and I am not generally a Tanto fan. This is the first Tanto that I've owned that I really have loved. I think it looks so good. It honestly functions beautifully. This thing is just so nice. I think this is one of the most handsome knives ever made. Truly, I really think this is one of the best looking knives ever made. And I didn't really think so before I got it in hand, but something about getting this in my hands and seeing it in person, it's just, gosh, I think this thing is so nice. I know I'm not getting rid of this anytime soon. I just absolutely love this. The milling looks amazing. The action is just ridiculous. And honestly, it is now just, I can flick it. It takes a lot of effort, but it is just now getting kind of flickable after owning it for probably a couple of years now and carrying it fairly often. So it takes a long break-in period, but it comes so glassy smooth right off the bat. It's just a little bit stiff. So this isn't a knife that is really designed to be flickable, but over a period of time, I think you'll get there. And I've just enjoyed the break-in period so much. It's just been so nice to operate and carry. I truly love this knife. And then I think this is it's either a Lynch or a MXG deep carry pocket clip. I think it's a Lynch clip, but yeah, this is the way to go. The original clip I did not care for. Once I put this on here, this thing was like just amazing. It carries so nice. I love this knife. But anyway, guys, that wraps up my collection. That's pretty much everything. Anything that I left out is stuff that I probably don't carry or is not very valuable. So this is some of my main stuff. So I hope you enjoyed. I love this hobby, and like I said, it's it's one of those things where it's just so much more fun enjoying the hobby like as a community, seeing all you guys' stuff. I hope you enjoy looking at the things that I've picked up over time. And yeah, anyway, I'm going to continue uploading reviews and product videos, disassemblies, maintenance videos, and hopefully you guys come along for the ride. It's been a lot of fun. So definitely keep your eye out for more. If you want to see more of my knife and EDC content, consider subscribing. I'll definitely have more things coming in the very near future. So thanks. Bye.